Hello and welcome to Kachu Travels. In the last episode, I had taken you to Diksha Bhumi. After visiting that place, I didn't quite trust the auto driver.
So decided I'll get back to Chhatrapati Square and from there I'll take the metro to explore.
As a result, I made my way back to the metro station. The metro station where I had got that auto driver. There, I decided that I am better off taking the metro all the way to 0 mile. And the metro ticket cost me about 30 rupees. The only bummer being that you had to buy a ticket for every part of the journey and you couldn't have a single ticket or a day ticket. Nagpur isn't as evolved as that yet because the metro is only about less than a year old.
So this whole change in plan happened because I wasn't able to trust the auto drivers here. Not that it's something to do with Nagpur, but I think any auto driver, when he sees somebody from outside, will try to extort money, and they don't have Paytm, so they will, always price it higher in a way that you finish your purse, whatever is there in terms of cash. So I went to Diksha Bhumi, 80 rupees either way, 160 to go and come. That was the only place I think that was away from the metro line. I'm hearing a lot of the other places, especially Sita Bandi and Ganesh Temple and Haldirams are all in the same belt. So I'm thinking I'll probably go to the 0 mile point. From there I'll probably take a train to Kadbi Square, which is the rail museum. I'll finish that, then come to Sita Bandi, and hopefully I think that's where the trip will end. I'll see if I have some time left for the Swaminarayan temple. I heard it's a very grand temple and it's closer to the airport. So let's see how the day goes. For now, I am right now waiting at Chhatrapati Square metro station, waiting for my next train to 0 mile.
The metro ride to 0 mile took me about 15 minutes. As soon as I got off, I observed that the metro station was very well maintained. It even had a grass bank and it had an army tank. Now that was rare. That's not something you would expect to find in a metro station. This was from the 1971 war and was a Russian tank. Not just that, they even had a metro replica for kids and a grass bank of sorts where the land was leased out to various schools to conduct their events on a weekday or rather on a weekend. So while this is the 0 mile metro station, the 0 mile is still a 5 minutes walk away. Just crossing a couple of roads, you will find this very silent structure completely hidden. This structure is basically a cylindrical tomb with hexagonal faces where each face represents the distances to different cities in India. Also is India's geographical center.
So I've finally arrived at the 0 mile point, technically India's center. And what it has is basically a little tombstone of sorts. It's a hexagonal tombstone, and in this tombstone or a column, it's constructed from sandstone, and the base is kind of circular, and the diameter is about 8 meters or so. And it's interesting that it's a circular column but hexagonal in structure, and each side of this hexagonal column has distances measured. Like one talks about I think Jabalpur, it says 170 miles from here. I think the time that it was established was probably the British era, because I can see the way Jabalpur is spelt there. It's written as Gaubbre, Jabalpur. That's exactly how it's spelt. And Jabalpur is about 170 miles towards northeast. whereas there are other places like Raipur, Chanda, Hyderabad and Kawatha. So out of the places that were listed here, the only places that I could actually otherwise connect with were only Hyderabad and Raipur. Jabalpur is something that I've heard of, but I haven't heard of Baitul, Chhindwara, Sioni, Chanda or Kawatha. Looks like these were the places that were of importance around the British era. The metro is just going above me. So here I am, off to my next destination, which is I'm curious to understand what the narrow gauge memories look like, because there have been very few trains that I have boarded the narrow gauge. I think the Ooty Metropolitan line was a narrow gauge, or I don't think I've even boarded the narrow gauge. I only boarded a meter gauge. Or I don't know, man. I'm suddenly confused. But anyway, we're here at the museum. Let's buy tickets first.
You make me nervous. I think I might be hooked on you. I love the things you said to me. It seems like you like me too. We can take it slow, make sure we do this right. Canceled all my plans to be with you tonight. So just sit with me.
So it costs about 25 rupees, and it's nice. I get this feeling of I'm in some childhood vacation kind of a place. I remember when I was a kid, there was this very similar place, one of the baghs in Delhi. I was studying in Delhi then, and my school took me on a picnic, and I forget, Punjabi Bagh or one of those baghs, they had a similar park where you recreated that whole world of Indian Railways in a little park. And that's what this is. It is now recreating a small station called the 0 Mile Station. Let me just show you what it looks like. You see that there? They're having this putla of a station master, and I don't know, railways have been very integral part of childhood, and they're probably the first window for me to look at the world. So that way, anything that is Indian Railways is very nostalgic for me, and I just love the feeling of connecting with Indian Railways. सर जी, ये नैरो गेज का जो ट्रैक है, ये कब डिसकंटिन्यू हुआ था?
2 साल हो गए। ढाई।
अच्छा, इंडिया में और कहाँ चलता था ये नैरो गेज?
इंडिया में अभी तो अपने मैनेजर सर बता दीजिए।
अच्छा, बात अंदर है क्या?
हाँ,
अच्छा,
मैनेजर में बिल्डिंग में राइट साइड में।
ओके। Seems like a nice place to do a journey. I thought the Ooty toy train was slightly bigger. I'm not entirely sure. He's asked me to check with the manager. It'll be a good thing to find that out. But for now, I'm right now just in search of water. Hey, before I go, I'm also seeing one very interesting turnstile, very similar to what I remember seeing in Kankesandurai in North Sri Lanka, in the Jaffna district. This is exactly where trains come in, or engines come in, and they have to, let's say they have to take a U-turn after they've hit the southernmost or northernmost point. This is how they come and take a U-turn, where they come perch themselves in this, and then that turnstile turns, and that's how the train does a U-turn. Olden days tech. Well, I don't know if it's still in existence in any other part of India. This is what it looks. For now, I think I need to hydrate myself. It's been a fairly warm day, and interestingly, I haven't seen any place that has or serves water. Where did I go? I went to Diksha Bhumi. I went to some place in between, which was Freedom Park, and that Freedom, or the 0 Mile place, and now here. The museum is inside. They have some of these attractions on the outside, which is like an old steam engine. Right now I don't know much. I'm about to go read something inside, and then I'll have more information to share. I kind of like the engines on display here. I sometimes wonder how would it be if I traveled in this engine. Let's say I've actually done that on the Dudhsagar Kulem railway track in Goa. I've traveled in the engine. It was fun. It was slightly longer engine though. So one is you have to keep standing here for the large part of the journey, and then see through that little hole that is there. That's it. That's your only view of the ghats that the engine is hooting its way through the valley. But it'll be also fun while the engine is there to go sit here, chill. If it's a night time, just see the stars as you pass through the forests. That's the view I had of Goa. It's an amazing thing to go in an engine. I'm really fascinated by seeing some of these structures. Indian Railways, as I said, is something that I very fondly connect with and remember. This was, I think, more like the engine that I had travelled in, where you come out of the door and you walk on these rails outside. You have to be careful not to slip, and then you get to the other end. So nice. I don't think any of us would connect with, maybe a mechanical engineer would connect with what are the various implements that are used in a gauge system. So we've seen that an early part of the history, especially on when these were used, looks like 1905, 1906. That's when you had the narrow gauges being used in Indian Railways. Oh, we just got a bigger railway engine. This is how it looks. This is a map of, it's called the microwave network of the Eastern Railway. Interesting, it talks about, you know, whether this part of the railway had an analog or a digital microwave radio link. But while I'm not looking into that, I'm just looking into the fact that how many towns have I basically been to, or how many have I heard. So obviously I've heard of Vizag, Simhachalam. None of these. It'll be a good journey to go along this point. I've been to Kharagpur way back in 1993. I haven't heard of any of these stations. Jharsuguda is something I've heard. I think that's in Orissa, Sambalpur, Orissa. I think I've known these places more for some Ranji Trophy matches. Bilaspur, I've heard of that. Raipur, Bhilai. And yes, we're now in Nagpur. Apparently Nagpur had a hill railway. I didn't know that. This is Ghat section. So that's what they are showing, that it's on the hill railway. And then there's the Jabalpur cantonment. It just shows that there's a large part of India that is still left to be explored. These were the telephones that were used back in the days. I remember the first time I used this round telephone was in 1992 when I had gone to Kolkata. My father had just been transferred and I was amazed at the fact that you could dial it and it would connect you to somebody who's so far away. So much so for tech. 92 was when I think a lot of things changed in my life. You had DD Metro, another channel, and then you had the telephone that I got introduced to, and then life has been very different after that. अच्छा वो मंदिर है। So this is the Ganesh Tekdi Mandir, the one that you're seeing behind me. I've just gone in, had a little darshan, and it was exactly the Aarti time. So now that I've finished this, I'm trying to see how much of time do I have. It's 12:30 and my phone has about 30% charge. I don't know, after this 5G, I left home at about 8 o'clock. I think the charge lasts only for about 5-6 hours, which is really bad. So I have to go back home, charge it for about another 30-40 minutes, and only then I'll be probably back. So right now, trying to find my slippers and then I'll be leaving. So as I was walking, I came by this little sign that speaks about a thali for 10 rupees. That's it, you heard it right, 10 rupees. Reminds me of Amma Unavagam in Chennai, where you had food for about 2 rupees and 5 rupees. But yeah, times have changed. 10 rupees is what the Maharashtra government is saying. It's called the Shiv Bhojan Thali, and it has a couple of rotis, some dal and some rice. Simple enough. Let's try it out. चलो भैया 10 रुपये ना क्या हुआ
इधर आ जाओ टोकन ले
यूट्यूब चैनल है क्या आपका?
So right after that lunch in near the MP bus stand, 10 rupees, I've now decided that I will call it quits. The trip right now ends here. It's 1:30 p.m. I wanted to be at the airport by about 3, so it gives me enough time to just go to my room, charge my devices, and then again get started. So what I was not able to do was to go to Burdi or Burdi or however they call it. That place apparently has a lot to see, and that represents, you know, the essence of Nagpur. But I wouldn't be able to go there today because it's already delayed and it's fairly hot outside. So maybe on the next trip to Nagpur I will be seeing some of these things. But for now, I'm just on my way to Fab Hotel Manumai, and this is where I sign off. Hope you enjoyed the Nagpur vlog, and if you did like it, please do consider subscribing. I make a lot of travel content around India. This time it's a series about, you know, how I've been traveling for cricket. So it's been an interesting journey, and look forward to your support in case you enjoy the vlogs. Thank you.